fish. Hey, chapter 1. 5, you excited about chapter 1? I know I am. First one. Test swimming, final prototype. Defiant,
pretty early.
Black Spirit collaboration, just like trap.
Sure they know I'm out chasing these fat girls with the belly skirts, time to put in work. LRPs. Some of the best yet. Some of the best yet. They bite like that, like that, like that. Big bass, double digits.
Kick up the fire right on top. Oh man. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Oliver Nye here with my man 5 Dog. What's up, buddy? Can I get a high five? Oh gosh, I don't know what this is, but we'll take it. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We're gonna talk about a really special glide bait project we've been working on here for the past several months. Actually years, if you take it back to the foundation of the chapter 1 glide bait project here. As you guys may have seen on Instagram, Facebook, or the YouTube shorts, this is the chapter 1 glide bait that I've been fishing recently, going through production, prototyping, color prototyping, and catching some fish. We're excited about this bait. We're actually so excited that we're looking forward to bass fishing in 2025. Can't say that was the case in most of 2024, but we've got an incredible new tool here. Captain Riley is on the trolling motor throwing the Ghost Light Trout pattern. I've got the other Defiant collaboration color, Ghost White Pearl, for those of you guys that are Defiant 210 and 247 fans. These two existing colors from the Defiant lineup kick off this collaboration with Black Spirit swim baits. For me personally, I thought it was important to have a couple of really confident colors to kick off this project with, so it engaged us to want to throw this bait as much as humanly possible. We've got, I think, 14 existing color schemes, including a bone color and 11 other awesome patterns that I'm excited to show you guys today. So no matter where you are in the country, no matter where you are in the world, you're gonna have a color scheme that either matches the hatch with your local prey options or matches the conditions and the water clarity and visibility no matter where you fish. Let's talk about some technical attributes of this bait. Chapter 1 glide bait comes in at about 9.5 inches, 4 ounces in weight. What's really unique about this bait is its modular tail system. And there are other baits out there that you've seen us fishing, like the Bait Sanity series, that have modular tails. But this is different in that straight out of the box, you're gonna have a slow float option. And that allows that bait to be fished on the surface as a wake bait, as a dead stick bait. Gives you the ability to creep this thing in and around shallow cover so you can actually finesse it through lanes in this brush or grass or over the tops of vegetation or trees or what have you. But also in the box will come a tail marked with an S. So you simply push the floater out, pop in the slow sinking tail, and now that changes the sink rate of the bait from a floater to a super slow sink. Now, why is that important? Well, it gives you a much wider range in the water column of how and where you can present this bait. What I really love about this slow sink tail is that it's not too fast. So I can actually get this thing to stall out for key moments in my presentation, depending on your rig, depending on your line size and type, your retrieve style, the water temperature. You can actually tune this bait. I can take that stock bait and go from a floater and either swap out the tail or add lead wire around my hooks or adhesive tungsten or lead strips and get that bait to sink out precisely to where I want it to present it in the water column. And there aren't too many glide baits out there that you can do that with. That's why you guys have seen me fishing so many floating models of the Gancraft jointed claw for the past few years, because I had that ability to take a floater and weigh it precisely and tune it precisely to either truly suspend or get close enough to it to have an effect on triggering more bites. What you'll also see through this clear translucent ghost white pearl body is some of the internals here. Take a look at that oversized swivel. That's your attachment point here for these premium hooks. I'd say these are a 2X hook. We've actually already caught some stripers on this thing on the California Delta through some early testing. But the hardware is phenomenal. You can see the silencer pads in between the joint. Big proponent of having a really subtle and finesse bait, especially in a glide option. A lot of these hard baits will click and clack really obnoxiously when you're fishing it through your retrieve. And although smaller and medium-sized bass will respond to that loud, obnoxious noise, I found that the true giants definitely are put off by it. So when we're targeting trophy fish, I like having a really quiet and subtle bait. Let me walk you guys through my setup here today. We're throwing this chapter 1 on a loose Super Duty 300. This is a fairly new reel to our fishing arsenal over the last year. What I do like about it over other 300 size reels is that it is slightly smaller in size. So for ergonomics, ability to palm this thing and manipulate this bait in conjunction with the rod and your reel action, that smaller 300 size is actually really nice. This particular Super Duty is a 6.5-to-1 gear ratio. It's not too fast where I get in a bad habit of fishing the bait too fast, but it's also not too slow to where if I need a burst of speed, it becomes a problem. I've got it spooled with 28.9-pound Defiant soft casting fluorocarbon, and I know a lot of people, especially a lot of inexperienced people, have a hard time understanding why I would want a line heavier than most people are throwing. Number one, these baits aren't easy to get a hold of, especially in the prototype phase, right? I can only get my hands on one or a few of these working models. The last thing I want to do is donate another rare glide bait or big bait to the fish gods. I've paid my dues, I've done plenty of that. You can't catch a fish on a bait if you cast it off. Number two, look at the cover that we're fishing. It's pretty thick cover. Keep in mind, we're targeting some of the biggest fish in the lake, and they're no bluefin tuna, mind you, but in short bursts and speed, these fish can absolutely turn their heads, get down into this brush or a tree or around a dock piling or what have you, and zing pow you or wedge the treble hook into the cover and then roll off the hook. That 28.9-pound gives me that much more power to forcibly control that fish out of that cover. I don't understand the mentality of getting bit only to find yourself in a heap of trouble in that moment that you finally got bit and now you can't control that fish, and worst case scenario, you lose the fish and your bait. It doesn't make any sense to me. I think I've proven again and again that even on some of those pressured bodies of water like we are in SoCal right now, in gin clear water, I'm probably looking at 12 to 15 foot visibility. These fish will continue to strike these baits if you are properly presenting it to them to where their focus is on the lure, not your line. And this goes back to fishing thick monofilament, which definitely doesn't have the visibility characteristics of 100% fluorocarbon. They could definitely see that line, and it definitely did not hinder them from biting. Could there be a case to be said that you may get an occasional extra bite throwing this bait on 20-pound or less? Sure, but I have yet to have anybody kick my ass in my boat or fishing side by side to where their lighter line was the determining factor of them getting the bite or multiple bites over me until it's proven. Otherwise, I'm gonna stick with the thick lines, heavy baits, heavyweights mentality here. We've got this Super Duty mounted on an iRod Kaimaina, or Kaimaina, excuse my Hawaiian. How would you pronounce that?
Kaimaina.
Take it from her. This is actually an inshore rod, SWK 803M, but I like it because it's got a little bit more give, a little bit more moderate action here. It's got the perfect taper for presenting, casting, and fishing this 4-ounce hard bait with these trebles, but it's also perfect for not pulling those hooks out of their face when you do hook them. And you guys have probably noticed, like those smaller fish especially, they're so aggro and athletic that they'll hit you with that short burst of speed and actually just rip off the hooks. But that little bit of a moderate action and taper keeps them pinned. All right, let's walk through these two different tails and what they do to the action of this bait. This is the chapter 1 in our bone color. And out of the box, it's got the floating modular tail. So why would I want a floater, you may ask? There are gonna be times when you guys are fishing shallow cover in and around these bushes, for example, and having a floating bait to start is gonna allow me to fish this bait precisely in and around the cover without fear of getting stuck. And you can indefinitely stall that bait out in a key spot in your retrieve and allow that bait to slowly float back up to the surface. But as you see, it does want to dive subsurface on a retrieve. But I can get really brave here with my casts and my presentation, having the confidence that I know I can finesse that bait above all of this snaggy cover. And then if I feel like that shade line is a key strike zone where I want to delay that bait, I can just pause and indefinitely stall it in that zone and then resume my normal cadence. So one of the key features of the chapter 1 is this tail switch concept. And I simply push up on the floater tail. I'm going to find the tail with the S on it, denotes a slow sinking model. Pop that right into place. And now that bait's going to slowly sink instead of slowly float. And you'll notice here that it almost suspends. So you get a really awesome stalling action when you pause this bait. That's a straight, slow wind. Nice, smooth, meandering action. This time I'll put a little bit more speed on it. Still a straight wind. It's a little bit tighter. The second or third glide seems to want to kick out a little bit more aggressively. I'm going to incorporate some rod pulls here. Really get that bait to shoot out as far as I can, left and right. You guys can notice here the unique pectoral fins. They're designed with an angle here to help grab that water. Helps force this bait down. So one of the things I like to do with this bait to get it down to depth is as soon as it hits the water, I'll actually fish it really aggressively. And that gets that bait down immediately another foot or two deeper. Then I can start my retrieve. Let's see what this thing looks like with some chop. Utilizing just the reel handle. Sharp 1/8 or 1/4 turns. Rod tip in place. Get more of that erratic, choppy action that people love. Great way to get aggressive and smaller fish to commit on these baits. But this bait also wants to glide out. Takes some angler manipulation, not as much as some of the other glide baits out there, but it's capable of so much more through a presentation than many of the glides out there. You get a bunch of short, erratic chops to a glide and then stall it out. Look at the way that bait just stalls. That's dirty. See, as I'm coming up on this bush or tree here, I could stall it in that key strike zone, or at least where I anticipate it to get bit. You can see it here next to the boat. This is with a super slow sink tail. We're fishing Defiant fluorocarbon line, and it's barely sinking. Doesn't take much. Should look cool coming through that sunlight too. Having the ability to present this bait up super high in the column with this slow float tail, and then immediately being able to switch it out for the next cast and get it lower in that column if those fish are reluctant to come all the way to the surface, is going to be a great tool for us. You guys can see in this gin clear water how much cover is just under the surface, and so much of this fishing is visual. We're eye scoping, as my man John Shin would say. We're relying on our senses here. Vision, feel, building good muscle memory, getting that bait to fish a little bit deeper and deeper in the column as we clear that shallow cover. And even with that slow sink tail, I could still finesse it right above all of that cover. Look at that. And then stall it right there in that open gap. That's badass. Now get real erratic. Come to another stall. Fish as well right next to the boat, so you guys that love to 8-trap fish should be able to get some fish to eat this thing at the boat. But all you guys that love old school fishing and want to throw a big glide bait up in shallow cover are gonna love the chapter 1. Look at that thing. You get mesmerized learning the bait and swimming it. Pretty keyed in right now on this bone color, and all of a sudden it's going to be gone. Hopefully a big bass just comes up and snuffs it. Always experiment with your retrieve, and that's one of the strong suits of this particular glide. Some glides we fish work really good chopping. Some glides we fish work really good on a slow roll, and some of those glides are only good at one presentation style. But you've got not quite a Swiss Army knife in one glide bait, but a lot more utility. Casts beautifully at 4 ounces. It's not going to wear you out, and it's going to be hard to see, but that's probably a 90 to 100 foot cast. The further your bait is away from your rod tip, the more that bait's going to swing horizontally left and right. Just got a longer, wider arc, and as you get closer to the boat, that's going to start to shorten. So what I start to do is I start to cheat the swimming action with my rod tip. From halfway to all the way to the rod tip here, I'm actually going to artificially swing that bait left and right and keep that glide going horizontally. It's such a great trigger for bass. You can get that bait to do a lot in a short span. Oh man, that thing is sick. And right there, I've probably got that bait 3 or 4 feet below the surface. Might not seem like it because the water's so clear. And then if I see a lot more snaggy floating cover on the bank I'm fishing, I simply swap out that slow sink tail, pop that floater back in, and instead of sinking down into that snaggy stuff, it's literally just going to float there. So I can get real brave here, put it in those little lanes and pockets. You could dead stick that bait, walk it in and around those sticks. This is where your skills as an angler grow. You can really learn to manipulate this bait around cover and trigger bites. Man. Those of you guys that are walking the bank especially, you know, if you're fishing from inside there, fishing out, the ability to throw a floater and really finesse it through this stuff. Look at that. And stall it as long as you need to milk that one cast that you can make from that underhang. You guys are gonna crush some fish on the bank on this thing. This is a great presentation if you guys start locating fish in a particular area or zone and you really want to slow down. Get that cast way up there. And there are a lot of people that I fish with that would never throw this bait where I'm about to. And having the ability of a floater gives me the confidence to send it. You fish it on the right line, it's not going to break. And even if it breaks, you can always just go in there and get it. That's a terrible demonstration. Fish. Net. It's a good one.
I can't see. 5, get back.
Hey, chapter 1!
Good job, babe.
5, you excited about chapter 1? I know I am. What? Yeah, I got you.
It's a heavy net.
Hey, 5, back up. Back up, buddy. Hey, back up. That right there is what we call validation. Out here testing the first final prototype of the chapter 1. Black Spirit and Defiant collaboration. Ghost light trout color. Glide, pause. Wham! That was awesome. What do you think, 5E? Is that a good one?
Did you see it?
Nope. He did the arm. I didn't feel the bite. He just pulled back. I was like, what the? Oh, there's another one. We're on a bite. Bite.
Nice.
Hey, that's good. Back up. Oh man, 2 casts later. December glide bite. That's pretty rad. Fife is liking it. You guys might be wondering, where and when can I get my hands on a chapter 1? Well, as of the shooting of this video, we are planning on having limited numbers of them available at the Big Bass Dreams booth at the following expos. In the end of January, we'll be at the Chicagoland Expo. The week after that, the Big Bass Dream Team will have some on hand at the New England Expo in Mass. Week after that, we will have them at the Big Bass Dreams booth once again at the Columbus National Fishing Expo. And all you West Coasters should be able to come by our Big Bass Dreams booth at the PCS show in the beginning of March. And all you ladies and gentlemen coming to Texas for the Bassmaster Classic should be able to grab one of those as well. We know Tackle Warehouse is going to be carrying these, so not sure if they're going to have a pre-order available. But all 14 colors should definitely make an impact for your guys' fishing this year. Retail price point is $129.99. A heck of a value, heck of a range of swimming attributes and applications for you guys. Cannot wait to see the fish that you guys conquer with the chapter 1. Let me give you guys a little bit of a background on the Black Spirit line of baits and the chapter 1 and how that name came about. This brand was inspired with the spirit of chasing trophy bass. Which bass? Black bass. Largemouth, smallmouth, spots. That's where the Black Spirit name comes from. And where does the chapter 1 name come into play? Well, this is the first chapter of the story that we're telling through this brand. You guys are gonna open this thing up and right away notice the awesome and unique packaging. You're going to be able to actually keep the packaging and store the bait in it on your bookshelf as you would a hardcover book, and see on that spine that that's chapter 1 of the Black Spirit story. Stay tuned for chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth as we continue to build upon this unique line of big baits with the trophy black bass angler in mind. Hopefully you guys got some insight from today's video. I'm Oliver Nye. Appreciate you guys that are tuning in and subscribing to the channel. If you guys aren't subscribed, please go ahead and turn on your notifications. We got a lot more big bait and just bass fishing content coming to the Big Bass Streams channel. If you guys are not members, you might want to sign up. I'm going to be doing some members only specific videos on a lot of topics, including this bait. You might be able to get on a priority list to get your hands on one of these outside of the expos if you cannot make one of the shows. So another reason for you guys to subscribe to the channel. Got a bunch of exclusive content and access to new bait projects that we're involved in. We're working on all kinds of stuff for 2025. We've got a special collaboration hard bait series coming from Strike King with Big Bass Streams. I'm Oliver Nye. We're from a Man 5 Dog, Captain Riley. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Good luck out there. What's wrong with your animal?